Hello YouTube and welcome to Turmoil in the Toybox. I'm your host Aaron Hauser, and today we're going to be reviewing the NECA Series 3 set of figures from Rocky 3. This includes Rocky Balboa and Clubber Lang. Now there's also another version of Clubber Lang available that I will not be covering in this review, featuring him with a different, more aggravated facial expression and blue shorts. Now I picked up the two of these guys at Toys R Us a couple days back for about 17 bucks each plus tax. There is no alternate version of Rocky, unfortunately, for this series, no battle damage version. But the Rocky that is in this series is probably, in my opinion, the best that NECA has released yet. Not to mention the incredible detail on Clubber Lang, which we'll get to in a moment. Now we'll start off with Rocky here. I really believe this is the best facial sculpt that NECA has done of Stallone for this series. It's not 100% dead on, but it's the closest they've had. And just the paint detail on his eyes, the hair, the facial look, and the skin tone just is really, really well done. And I really feel like this is kind of the creme de la creme of the Rocky series thus far. Now the paint job on this guy is really well done. I also really like the flesh tones on this figure. This is probably the best I've seen since NECA started implementing it with the Rocky figures. Now as far as articulation goes, there's no change from the rest of the figures. There's articulation in the toes, in the ankles, in the knees, in the hips. There's a mid-torso sort of ball joint there. The wrists are also on a ball joint. The elbows have flexibility there. Rotation in the shoulders, in and out, forwards and backwards. And then the head is also on a ball joint at the top of the neck there. Now this is kind of the only negative comment I had about the figure, was that there's this really obvious paint smudge on the back of his ass. Now if you have him on display, you're probably not going to notice it, but the only reason I bring it up is because I actually have this same issue on a couple of my figures from the Rocky Series 2 line that NECA released. Like I said, you can't really notice it if it's on display, but it's cropped up on a couple different figures, so I kind of hope they figure out a way to take care of that in the near future. Overall, this is a really great figure, and the attention to detail is just staggering. Definitely my favorite Rocky of the NECA series so far. Next up is Mr. T himself, Clubber Lang. This is a really well done figure, and as far as actor likeness goes, this is the best I've seen from NECA in quite some time. It honestly is probably the best I've seen from them. While the minor details may be slightly off, the facial sculpt and the attention to detail is in like the facial expression and the eyes and everything. This just looks exactly like Mr. T. It's just incredible how well they captured his likeness for this figure. Specifically on this figure, I wanted to point out the incredible detail on the clothing here. It just looks fantastic. The attention to detail on the gloves and everything, it just really shines with this figure. Now, like I was saying earlier, the facial sculpt on this guy is just incredible. They did a fantastic job with his facial hair, with the look on his face, just the frown lines and everything. Even down to the way they did the eyes and his ears and everything. It just really, really looks like Mr. T, and it was just incredible to finally get a figure that actually really does the actor justice. This really captures his likeness in a way that I haven't seen from a figure in quite some time. So that said, I wasn't really fond of the way they did the coloring on the lips. It's sort of a Barbie-ish pink. Now, maybe it's not that way on other figures. Let me know if I'm wrong on this one. But the color just seems slightly off to me. But other than that, the figure just looks fantastic. Altogether, this is an incredible figure, and it really goes well with Stallone's figure in this set. You really can't have one without the other. And this is probably As far as opponents go for the NECA Rocky series, this is by far my favorite. One of the other things that I was really impressed with was the size difference between the two. They capture that perfectly as Clubber Lang just towers over Rocky Balboa. So yeah, by far this is definitely NECA's greatest figure set as far as the Rocky series goes. The sculpts on both of these guys really do Stallone and Mr. T justice, and just a phenomenal amount of detail went into both of these guys. So you can pick them up at Toys R Us. You might be able to find them on toysrus.com. I haven't checked recently. As well as Amazon.com within the next couple weeks. But that's about it for this review. If you have any questions about the figures, just leave them in the comments below, and check out some of my other reviews. As always, thanks for watching.